Hey everyone, Amia here from Resonance Astrology and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about and get ready for a powerful shift that's happening, and that is that Mars is about to leave the emotional waters of Cancer and step into the bold, fiery energy of Leo. Mars is the planet of action, motivation, and drive. And in Leo, it expresses itself with confidence, creativity, and a desire to be seen and heard. This transit invites all of us to take bolder steps, follow our passions, and lead from the heart, because Leo is all about the heart. In this video, I'll walk you through what Mars in Leo energy feels like, highlight a couple of key aspects happening during this transit, and then break it down sign by sign so you know exactly how to work with this fiery energy in your own chart. And now, Mars has been in Cancer for a long time. That is due to Mars's retrograde period that we have all undergone and underwent over the past couple of months. Technically, the pre-shadow period of Mars already happened once Mars moved into Leo. So when Mars moves into Leo, we are still not completely out of the woodworks yet. And Mars only really leaves the post-shadow period beginning of May. So in April, we are still working with all the lessons we have been going through ever since Mars moved into its pre-shadow period. But really, we can kind of say that Mars has been in Cancer for the last 6 months. And so this does mark a big energetic shift from emotional processing to bold action-oriented energy, which I think we are all very in dire need of. And Mars in Cancer was really like opening this dusty, unused room in our lives and confronting our hidden and emotional baggage. The house that Cancer rules in your chart has really undergone this cleaning and tidying up process, kind of like looking at the skeletons we keep in the back of our closet. This is what Mars and Cancer has been doing in the respective house that it rules in our chart. And now this phase is wrapping up. And Leo energy is much more about confidence, courage, authenticity, taking action. So it's time to step into the spotlight and take assertive steps forward. And this is also influenced by some other planets like Mercury, for example, today moved back into the sign of Aries. Venus will soon move back into the sign of Aries. Neptune already moved into the sign of Aries. And then a bit later on in May, Saturn is moving into the sign of Aries as well. So this is kind of all influencing this energetic shift, because we're kind of moving from water signs, which are much more emotional, inner focused, like processing inner emotions and memories, all of that, like working with the body. And now we are stepping into an era where it's much more like taking action, like being assertive, like actually doing tangible physical things. And this shift is really felt in the global and in the collective. And Mars in Leo is obviously ruled by the sun. And when Mars moves into Leo, we just get a tiny glimpse of the sun still being in Aries, but then it already moves into Taurus. So the first part of Mars being in Leo, it's ruled by a sun that is in Taurus, which is a bit more of a chill time, you could say. At the same time, it is also action-oriented, because then we'll have to look at the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus is soon moving into the sign of Aries, so it is much more action-oriented, but it has like this chill undertone. At the same time, Taurus and Leo square each other by sign, so there is also a lot of tension that is going on. And then in the second half, when the sun moves into the sign of Gemini, it's getting a lot more playful and curious. And the Gemini and Leo are in a sextile relationship, a spectral relationship to one another. So it's much more creatively induced. And this is what we're going to look at when we break it down sign by sign. And now the major aspects that I want to briefly go over, and that we are going to talk more in depth about what it means for your specific sun or rising sign in the next segment, is First of all, the first thing that happens is Mars trines Neptune in Aries. This is happening around April 20th, 2025. And this is really, Neptune in Aries has felt like this new world map that we have unlocked. And now Mars moving into Leo is kind of giving us the courage to actually take the steps and start exploring. It's really inspiring us to do things in like a new, maybe more spiritual and imaginative way on how we're taking action. The interesting part about all of this is that the last 14 years when Neptune was in Pisces and Leo are in aversion to one another. That means they aren't forming any aspect, at least not any major aspect to one another. So this past 14 years, since Mars was always going into the sign of Leo, it never formed any aspect to Neptune. So this is like a first, a new, and the houses that are getting highlighted in our charts, which we're going to get into, are really like, it's unlocking a whole new chapter of where we are taking bold new action and much more spiritually inclined, maybe a bit like warrior, searching for a path with a soul purpose. So it's really activating this whole new chapter arc in our Leo and Aries houses. And this is happening on around April 20th. And then one day later, on April 21st, we have Mars squaring the Sun. And this aspect can spark a bit more tension. It is more frustrating. It's often associated with like ego clashes, internal ego clashes, and it's really a reminder to assert ourselves consciously and manage any impulses to act without thinking. So watch out for power struggles during that time. Then we have a big kind of T-square that is forming around the new moon in Taurus that is happening on April 27th, because what is also happening at that time is that Mars is opposing Pluto. So it's really, we have this T-square in the sky. T-squares are pretty intense because they're highlighting these aspects that are a square and then opposition in our charts, which can lead us, like, oppositions are essentially hard because they're forcing us to grapple with opposites. Squares are hard because they're bringing intention towards action, and this can often very easily get overwhelming when both of these things are happening. And this is also kind of a big bang, so to say, because this is the final opposition we are getting between Mars and Pluto, because the first opposition that we have had was around end of October, and this was when Mars was still in Cancer, opposing Pluto at like 29 degrees. This was very hard. Think back at what was going on in your life at that time, because I'm pretty sure this is essentially the final chapter. We have had 2 hits already, and this is like the final hit. And after that, it will take around 1.5 years until Mars moves into the sign of Leo again, and until it opposes Pluto again. So it's a long time until this Mars-Pluto opposition happens again. So this is why this is so monumental, especially because it's happening also around the new moon. So it's really like this death and rebirth moment. We are finishing something and starting something completely new. This is a major transformative moment, and really confronting us with our power struggles, our ego, our authenticity, where we are lacking authenticity. And yeah, it can be like a forceful transformation and confrontation. It really depends how you are able to work with this. But at its best, it's a great energy to break through old patterns and like be done with them for good. I'm pretty sure that because this is so linked to the Mars retrograde cycle, whatever has been going on, it's time to say bye-bye and, done and over, and see you again, Mars and Leo opposing Pluto in like 1.5 years. But now we're done and over with this. Then we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening like way later. This is happening May 22nd, 2025. But I really love this because this is also this Mars trine Venus aspect has also been going on 2 times already, but it's happened in the watery signs of Cancer and Pisces. Once again, we're shifting from this more emotionally feely, memory, nostalgia-induced trine of Mars and Venus in Cancer and Pisces to a much more directly focused and more passionately engagement place of Mars trining Venus in these fiery signs. And this is like a very strong boost of confidence, desire, and bold relational moves. I feel like this is kind of bringing similar vibes to when we had the infamous Venus retrograde in Leo in the summer of 2023, because Mars and Venus were both in the sign of Leo. Now, I know in this regard, Venus is in Aries, but it's still a fire sign. I feel like it's just bringing back this like momentum of like really just being bold and going for the things you want and need, treating yourself, like really coming from this place of the heart and wanting to do things from the heart and really like unshaming your desires when it comes to love, relationships of all kinds, and just in general, how you are treating your own desires, and getting confident about it, getting confident and bold about it. So I really like this. Great time to, indulge in romance, creative projects, and making heartfelt connections with other people. And then we have the last major key aspect that I want to talk about, Mars square Uranus. This is happening also way later, June 15th, 2025. So really, we still have time. And it's also happening... Okay, let me preface. Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus for about the last 7 years now, so we are used to Mars squaring Uranus. It's not the first time that is happening, but this time it's happening briefly before Uranus moves into the sign of Gemini. Uranus will be roughly at 28 degrees 58 minutes. So it's just about to enter the critical 29th degree. So I do still think it is heavily influenced by almost getting there, and this square really happening at like the ending degrees of Leo and Uranus, because these two bring, just Mars and Uranus in general just bring this sudden eruptive shift and breakthrough and these outbursty moments. It really often feels like a volcano that is about to burst. I mean, the exact aspect is happening on June 15th, but most of the times we are already feeling it a bit before. I wouldn't be surprised if already beginning of June we are starting to feel this tension. So like this volcano that is about to burst and erupt beginning of June. And again, it's really, Uranus is always expect the unexpected, so it's sometimes hard to tell what exactly is going to happen. But this can really bring sudden urges for freedom, change, rebellion. And while it can be exciting, it can also feel very chaotic. So, keep that in mind and try to keep your cool during this sudden shifts and disruptions if you can. Or work with this energy, like either go fully in and like to have these clashing moments. That can also be super useful. Because again, it just feels like this volcanic release of built up pressure, which can be constructive, can easily also be destructive. So watch out that you land on the side of creating something with that energy and not letting it destroy you, because Mars very easily, like wielding Mars even in our own charts, is so much about like learning to work with this intense power of Mars, because if we don't, Mars can overtake us. And that can turn out very ugly. When Mars is working against us in our charts, it can turn out very ugly. And one thing I also often like to just say with Uranus, the line between breakdown and breakthrough can be very thin. And so I think this is just really this time of, dramatic meltdowns that can be intense, can lead to crisis moments, can lead to breakdowns before breakthroughs. So it's very important to stay grounded because this is a very restless, rebellious, impulsive energy and can easily lead to like erratic behavior. So best we can do is to stay and lean into the flexibility, which I know is hard because this is happening in two fixed signs. Leo and Taurus are fixed signs, so it's hard to stay flexible. And I feel like this is just this final like big bang where we are releasing built up pressure and tension that we sometimes have with these fixed signs. Everything that has been going on in the Taurus and Leo parts in our charts is just kind of coming to a close and really asking us to, can we just be a bit more flexible when it comes to these areas of our charts? And yeah, so just an overall big picture insight. This period is a turning point. We're moving out of the introspective emotional work into visible, passionate, and purposeful action. Mars will interact with all three outer planets, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, making this a potent time for shifts in ego, identity, and how we take action in the world. A strong call to authenticity, no more hiding, no more waiting, act boldly but with heart. And it's also a time to question the hero's journey narrative. Are we really helping or feeding our ego? This is kind of the key like big picture insights. And my overall advice for this period that I put here in my notes is don't delay necessary changes, face things head on with courage, and let go of needing approval and focus on being someone you can be proud of when you're alone with yourself. Because something I always like to tell people, and I also always like to tell myself, you can do whatever the heck you want in this life as long as you can go back home, look yourself straight in the mirror without any shame, sleep peacefully like a baby. You're not doing anything wrong. So make sure that, because Leo sometimes brings us so much in the spotlight, and that's so important for maybe people that have a harder time. At the same time, Leo can often also have this problem of where it always has this narrator in its head of, like doing day-to-day tasks and just being like, but how is this going to look in an Instagram post? How am I going to look? How am I going to perform for this imaginary audience that I put up in my head? And it's really like, who are you when no one's looking? Because that is the authentic you. And we want to bring that more to the forefront without any shame, okay? So this is my overall advice. And now we will be getting in to the horoscopes, sign by sign breakdown. Timestamps are down below, so watch for your rising sign. You can also watch for your sun sign, and I'll see you soon. Aries Suns, Aries Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscopes, where we're going to break everything down one by one. And now Mars in Leo enters your 5th house. I love this. This is your house of creative self-expression and romance. It's really focusing on embracing your inner boldness, which I know I don't have to tell you, like, you are already one of the boldest signs in the zodiac, but it's really focusing on doing and giving this boldness in love and artistic pursuits. And this is really a time to shine and take center stage, and also just like romanticizing your life. Seriously. And then Mars trine Neptune is happening in your 5th and 1st house. So this is creative spark meets spiritual identity. So it's really about expressing yourself boldly and authentically in a probably completely new way, because I know that Neptune moving into your 1st house is really completely shifting and reconfiguring your identity, maybe in a more softer, romanticized way. So I'm really loving this for you. Then the Mars squaring the Sun is happening in between your 5th and 2nd house. So this is really a time where you have to watch out for ego clashes in your creative and romantic life. And then the following T-square is happening in your 5th, 2nd, and 11th house. And this is a major shakeup in your finances and self-worth, and really kind of letting go of your old survival patterns. It's about stepping out of your survival patterns. And then we have a beautiful Venus trine happening a bit later on in May, and once again happening between your 5th and your 1st house. So this is like a romantic and self-love glow up time, and your charm is probably very magnetic during that time. So, be careful what you're doing, because you could be like really attracting new types of lovers and people in your life. And especially if you are bold and courageous to really lead with your heart, your magnetism could be like really amplified during that time. So, with great power comes great responsibility. So be careful what you're doing, Aries. But again, if you want to have things spicy, like this is the time. And then later on in June, we have the final Mars square Uranus, and this is happening also between your 5th and 2nd house. So this is kind of maybe bringing in a bit of a clash between your finances, money situation, maybe your habits on how you are spending your money and in which type of ventures you are putting them in, because the 5th house is very much about asking ourselves what constitutes a good life, like how can we creatively live our lives. But it can also be like lavish spending at times. And so we got to be careful how you are investing your money. It has to be in a useful way, but this can just bring up a lot of tension in how you are doing that. And I guess my reminder here is don't overspend or burn bridges too soon. Taurus Suns and Taurus Risings, welcome to your Mars in Leo horoscope. Mars in Leo is going to move into your 4th house. This is your house of home, family, and like foundations, essentially, like your ancestry, your home life, everything that is like a foundation. And so the overall advice here is to really channel your energy into domestic projects and nurturing your home relationships, maybe your relationship with your family, and avoid letting pride disrupt harmony. Now, Mars trine Neptune is happening between your 4th and 12th house, and this should inspire some action, or maybe for you to take bold, assertive action when it comes to your home and family life. So listen to your intuition for deep inner healing. This is maybe a time that some old stuck patterns from the past keep repeating, or you just realized how your ancestors or your upbringing really shaped you. It might be a good time to confront certain family members if that has been an issue in your life. This is a good time to do so. And then we also have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 4th and 1st house, which can bring up maybe some personal frustrations. Again, Mars trine Neptune and Mars squaring the Sun are kind of happening very consecutively. So even if it's a good time to confront certain family members, I know it could very much take a toll on you. Like maybe these new realizations are really taking a toll on you, and you're getting personally frustrated because you're not really being fully seen or heard by your family members. So just keep that in mind if you are confronting things. Like, confront things, but don't push too hard, because this can easily lead to just unnecessary clashes that are not going to get you the emotional closure that you probably long for. And this is all building up to the T-square of the Taurus new moon that is, happening in your 1st house. So much doing with you, like you are really in the forefront here. In your 4th house and the 10th house, this is all happening in your angular houses, dear Tauruses. So this is like a huge rebirth moment for you, where the best advice that I can give you here is to try as much as you can to let go of control and embrace kind of being pushed out of your comfort zone. I know, not the easiest thing for you Tauruses, but just something that I can highly recommend, because the T-square most likely will kind of force you to do so. So the best is to not hold on tight, because you will unnecessarily make things much harder than they need to be. And then in May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening in your 4th and 12th house. Again, these are more like private, inward-focused houses, so it's really about creating beauty in a more private space and focusing more on resting and retreating and nourishing your soul, which I love for you. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is happening between your 4th and 1st house. Uranus has been traveling through your 1st house for a long time, completely shaking and breaking up your identity. So this is kind of like the final hit you are getting here of this whole process that you have already been undergoing. It might be chaotic because it's happening at a very last degrees of Leo and Taurus between your 4th and 1st house. So again, it's really just breaking apart your foundation that you have with yourself, but also the one that was built and instilled on you, which is where you were born, your family, your ancestry, your original foundation, so to say. So this is really like the final hit at redefining who you are. Gemini suns and Gemini risings, welcome to your Mars in Leo horoscope. Mars in Leo is going to be traveling through your 3rd house. This house is about our communication, about our learning, about our nearby environments, neighborhoods, everything that is kind of our fish tank environment, so to say. So my overall advice here is to engage in meaningful conversations and expand your network, like everything that is going on around you. Like be bold and courageous in just exploring. Like maybe you moved recently or something, or you've been in the same neighborhood for a long while and you just haven't explored that restaurant down your street, or signing up to play a part in the community garden. Like do that. Do that, step up and do that, and engage in your nearby environment. Then we have Mars trine Neptune. This is happening in your 3rd and 11th house. This is really about dreaming for the future and maybe finding new ways to describe or set up your goals and visions, especially that you have with your allies and community members. I think this is really going to be focused on the people you bond with that are kind of close by with you. Like not people that are long distance or something, but really doing meaningful things with people that are really in your neighborhood and your local community. Then we have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 3rd and 12th house, which can kind of bring an overtone of like the stress you often find in your daily life, and your daily rituals can also really remind you of the mental overload you often put on yourself, because I know you're a sign, you process things so fast at lightning speed. And this is really a transit that is reminding you to take the breaks. Like focus on doing things maybe with other people, because they can maybe help you to take off the load. And because alone, sometimes you can just so easily get into this mental overstimulation. And then all of this is also leading up to the T-square, which will be a big point of tension. This is happening between your 3rd, 12th, and 9th house. So this has so much to do with your subconscious belief, also with your conscious beliefs, and everything that constitutes your worldview by the way that you think about things. And this T-square is just bringing in a lot of tension, because you might be in a state where you have to let go of how you built up your worldview in a new way. And this might actually come from the local people around you, and taking this bold, assertive action and connecting with your neighborhood and your local environment. And so, yeah, it's really a time of endings. Can also be a time of like spiritual wake-ups, shake-ups, but Uranus has been going through your 12th house for a while, so it's not like this is a completely new energy. But if you have been going to therapy, this might be a time where you also get like this big breakthrough, emotionally, mentally, like this aha moments. This is a very big aha moment for you, dear Geminis. Then in May, we have Mars trine Venus happening between your 3rd and 11th house. An amazing time for you to have conversation, heart to heart, with your community, with your friends. Maybe a newfound sense of love coming through your network that you didn't even realize how loved and supported you are. So I really love this for you. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus. Again, this is happening at almost 29 degrees, the critical degrees. This is easily a time where you can land into emotional burnout or having these breakthrough moments. It's also when sudden revelations can happen through your dreams, your subconscious mind. Again, also very good transits for having breakthroughs during therapy sessions. Again, just be very wary because you're a sign that can easily overstimulate itself. And this can be such a transit that can easily make or break you. So try and use this energy wisely so it doesn't break you down. Cancer Suns and Cancer Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. Mars and Leo will be traveling to your 2nd house. This is the house of your finances, of your values, of your self-worth, and really of your own resources that you gather throughout life. My overall advice here is to take assertive steps towards financial goals and affirm your values and avoid overindulgence because Mars and Leo sometimes can be a bit lavish. So be sure to track your spending habits. But it is also an amazing time to actually like take control of your spending habits. If you have been wanting to learn how to invest, how to save up money, how to save up for the future, how to, spend more wisely, this is a time to absolutely do so. Take more control. And then we have Mars trine Neptune. This is happening between your 2nd and 10th house. So this is really about how you're financially motivated by the way you wanted to align with your higher purpose or your career or vocation or where you want to head and go to. Because it might be a time where you're really like, I want my work and the way that I'm making money to align with my soul's purpose. And what are the first steps that I can take so that this gets into an aligned position? What we also have a day later is Mars is squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 2nd and 11th house, which can bring up conflict between your values and the friendships you have. So watch out for tension there. Maybe you are realizing that some of the people that you are surrounding yourself with, like community members or allies, aren't really in alignment with you that will get you to this place of the career that you want to go through, the life that you want to make. So it might bring in actually some necessary tension where you realize like who can stay and who needs to go. Like not to be super over dramatic, but this can kind of happen. And the thing is, all of this is leading up to this T-square that is happening around the Taurus new moon. And this is because it's gonna be Taurus new moon, and then Mars is gonna oppose Pluto, and this is happening in your 2nd, 11th, and 8th house. Once again, highlighting this kind of make or break moments that you might be having with the people around you, and really like reevaluating who's aligning with the growth that you want to take or like head towards, because the 8th house feels very much out of our control, and it has a lot to do with other people's resources. And we gotta ask this question of, are other people useful to us? And really not like in a demeaning way, but essentially the friendships you have, the people you work with especially, they have to be useful to you in some way or another. If they're just emotionally draining for you, it's really time to reevaluate, because I know, dear Cancers, you can be so useful and helpful to other people, but this T-square is really asking of you, like, are you happy with the resources you are getting from other people versus the resources you are giving to other people? If there is a huge disbalance going on, this will super highlight this, and you really got to rethink which people do you want to align yourself with, because they might really make or break your future, so you got to be careful. Then in May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening between your 2nd and 10th house again. This is bringing in this beautiful charm that you can really use to kind of level up your career game, and people might really notice you during this time more. So make sure to use your charm wisely, because it could really help you to step up, get new offers that will really like bring you to the next level when it comes to what you want to work, where you want to go, where you want to head. So use this and your charm wisely, essentially. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus, happening between your 2nd and 11th house. This is bringing probably an unexpected shift when it comes to your goals and the dynamics between your friend groups, allies, communities. So I think maybe this is something that is already like started by the beginning of this transit, when Mars is trining Neptune, and you're already maybe rethinking of leaving certain communities or friends. Now this is a time where it's like, ooh, interesting new people that are coming into my life. So it isn't so much what you have to do. What you actually have to do, because Mars and Leo is in your 2nd house, is just to simply make sure that you are aligned with your heart's values. And this will bring in exactly the right people that you need to align for your future and your goals. Leo Suns and Leo Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. And as you probably already know, this is going to happen in your 1st house. I'm super excited. I think this is the much needed like confidence boost that you need, especially after Mars has been traveling in your 12th house for such a long time. The 1st house is so much about your personal identity and your self-expression, also about your body and how you're stepping out into the world. So my overall advice here for you is to embrace your inner authentic self and lead with confidence, so your bright Leo heart can shine through. Then we have Mars trine Neptune. This is happening in your 1st and 9th house. So you have to, during that time, you're going to be moved to act from your beliefs. So it's very important that you kind of realign your spiritual beliefs, so it comes from a place of being confidence. So it fuels your boldness in a good way. And then soon after that, we have Mars squaring the Sun, which will happen in your 1st and 10th house. So this can easily, quickly, like we're coming from this Mars trine Neptune and going into this Mars square Sun. And so it can easily, quickly go into like you're spiritually confident, but then you have this like ego flare up or something. So be intentional with your power and presence, because your power when Mars is traveling to your 1st house is not a joke, okay? And so all of this is also leading up to a T-square we are having with the Taurus new moon and Mars opposing Pluto. This is happening in your 1st, 10th, and 7th house. These are your angular houses, so they're extra pressureful in this time. And it's really going to pressure you in your career and like home life, and also a very defining moment in your public life and your relationship life. It's really about, who do I want to be? Or essentially, I can say it like this way. The age-old thing we can say with Leo is always like, Be the most you that you can be, because nobody else can be you just as much as you can be you. So the more you embrace the only thing that you can be, which is you, the better it will be for yourself, because then it will align you with the right career opportunities, because ideally you want to be getting paid to be you. You want to make a career out of being you if that's what you desire. This is a good time. Can also be a clashing moment. And then we have these other clash that is going on in your 7th house with your relationships. So it might be because, okay, Pluto is in your 7th house of relationships. So it might be that maybe some sort of person is in your life currently, kind of bringing in this clash. It might not be that you are doing so much, but that other people are kind of bringing in these clashes and transformative moments that will really pull you and remind you who the F you are. So this is happening there. Then in May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening in your 1st and 9th house. A really beautiful time to gracefully move through the world and attract experiences that expand you. Also a good time to travel for a quest to get to know yourself better and maybe explore areas that are a bit further away from you. It's just, I really think this is a good time for traveling. May might also be a time where there are spring holidays, depending on where you live. So it really might be a good time to travel, because you might really attract these experiences that are expanding your life. And then June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is happening in your 1st and 10th house. So your house, your career house, and this is really a time to break free from outdated career expectations. I know you have already been doing that ever since Uranus moved into your 10th house, but this is kind of the final blow we are getting. And things that have been rocky. You've probably had so many, weird, unexpected shifts in like what you want to do into the world, what type of person you want to be, which career you want to make. I know so many Leo risings have had so many reroutes with, studying, suddenly realizing that's actually not the job that I want to do, or just having these unexpected moments where they are, either getting fired and a much better opportunity comes around. But again, I think the best thing you can do here is to just align yourself the most you that you can be, because then you can get paid to be you. Virgo suns, Virgo risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. Mars and Leo is going to be traveling through your 12th house. A more difficult house, a more difficult place. The 12th house has a lot to do with resting, reflection, and spiritual growth. It's an aversion to the ascendant, and I think it might also really confront you with where you are afraid to take bold and assertive action. So my overall advice during this period is to use this period to really recharge and connect with your inner self, because otherwise you can so easily land into burnout, and you want to avoid landing in burnout, because I know you always do so much to your Virgos, okay? I don't know, but like you just rest a little bit this time and really rethink, why am I so afraid to step into the spotlight? This is like the question, because you generally just have Leo, so the sun ruling your 12th house, and you are always confronted with this question of like, what makes you so afraid to get into the limelight and be more self-assertive and bold and actually take credit? So this is kind of really what's going on. We also have Mars trine Neptune happening between your 12th and 8th house. Okay, a lot of more difficult places are kind of getting activated for you, dear Virgos. So it might be a time that is not so easy for you. And that lead you to have more private breakthroughs and spiritual insights that like transform you. It might not be so upfront, like people might not see it to you. I always think of the seed that's planted in the soil and it's doing so much and growing, but you can't yet see the sprouts that are shooting up. So rest, fuel, and recharge. Because once Mars moves into your sign mid-end of June, you're gonna take a much bigger spotlight. And then also we have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 12th and 9th houses. This can bring up tension and inner conflict around your beliefs and self-expression, probably going to exactly trigger that part that I mentioned of what are you so afraid of? Which places in your life are you so afraid of being more bold and assertive, and why? And all of this leading up to the T-square that is going to happen around the new moon in Taurus. The T-square is going to be between the new moon and Mars opposing Pluto. So this is happening between your 12th, 9th, and 6th house. And this is a big shakeup in your beliefs, in your education. Maybe if you have been studying, this could be a huge time where you're questioning what you are studying, if it's really worth it. And your faith, it also might really be a breakdown moment of like facing truth bombs that are very difficult to face. And it's also, Pluto is traveling through your 6th house, so it might really influence you in how you are like working, how you are structuring your day-to-day life. I know you are a sign that likes to have a very structured day-to-day life, so this is kind of bringing in tension and a bit of upheaval in really rethinking of how you are spending your day-to-day life and how a lot of your subconscious is kind of influencing your, like the way you take daily action and what, like the first thoughts that you wake up from, because we're also looking at the 12th house here, right? And this has a lot to do with our dreams and our subconscious. So what are the like first thoughts that you have upon waking up? Because this is setting up the whole routine you have for your day, the whole mood you have when you're waking up. And it might really shake up this parts of your chart. And it might be hard to face some truth bombs and how you are essentially like living your life and influencing it much more with the thoughts that you're having about certain things than might be comfortable for you. And then around May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening between your 12th and 8th house again. This can actually be a beautiful time because it's a trine, so it's a more positive aspect to, like if you have any sort of intimate relationships, to really explore more emotional vulnerability and deepen your connections with other people. It might also be a time where you are getting a lot of love from other people because the 8th house has to kind of do with other people's resources and what they are bringing into our lives. So it might really be a time where you're getting pampered and loved and, spoiled by other people, and enjoy it. And I challenge you, Virgo, okay? I challenge you. Can you accept being spoiled and pampered without feeling like you immediately have to give in return? Okay? I'm watching you. And then we have, around June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is happening between your 12th and 9th house. It's just a radical shift in your worldview and the way, like the foundation you have with how your belief systems are structuring your worldviews. It's a great time to have breakthroughs in therapy sessions, and maybe also a time, because the 9th house, I mentioned education before, but it also has to do with long distance travel. If you are a Virgo that has been living abroad, it might actually be a time where you're really questioning if that is useful, and if it might not be more useful to either move into another country or maybe move back home or something like that, where you feel more comfortable, or where the way that you view the world, sorry, sometimes I well, cannot speak properly, I'm sorry, Virgo, is just more aligned with the way that you see the world. Ideally, you want to be in an environment that is conducive to the same views that you have, and the people that you have around you want to overall align with the values you have. Libra Suns, Libra Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. And Mars and Leo will be traveling through your 11th house. This is a big focus on friendship, groups, allies, and also our goals, aspirations, and dreams. So my overall advice here, and also maybe a bit of a nudge to you, is to experiment and see what happens if you take on a more like a leadership role in your group and the people you hang around with. Like maybe start planning activities and taking the lead and see how your friends and groups react if you are the bold and assertive one. And also a great time for you to pursue your long-term goals with passion, and maybe also structure and set up new goals and dreams that are much more aligned with where you want to head and go. First, we have Mars trine Neptune. This is happening between your 11th and your 7th house. These houses are very much focused on relationships. So 7th house is much more close one-on-one relationships. 11th house is more about our like friend groups and allies, maybe the people we are not super intimate and close with, but definitely also people that we surround ourselves with. And Mars trine Neptune is really focusing you to take inspired action towards collective goals. Ideally, you want to have your partners and your friends kind of help you bring your dreams to life and establish your dream life. So it is an extremely important time to really have people around you that think the same and have the same goals and wishes, because then it will be much more easeful for you to actually create this and build this dream life with other people around you. And then we have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 11th and 8th house, which brings up conflicts around shared resources or power dynamics you might be having with other people. So it's interesting, this is coming off right off the bat from the Mars trine Neptune, which is kind of asking really the question, which people are currently useful for you and which people aren't, and which people might be worth maybe distancing yourself from. This 8th house, shared resources, shared resources can have a lot of meanings, is what I'm trying to say. It can be money. There can be some issues that are coming up that have to do with other people's money during that time, but it can also be an overall feeling of what other people owe you. Maybe you realize for the first time, like, oh, actually, I have been way too kind, and these people kind of owe me like kindness back. And it might kind of like focus on facing your own kind of shadow aspect, which can often happen with you Libras, where you kind of get sour or bitter over your own kindness that nobody forced you to exude or be, and really grappling with the fact, or like questioning your own morals and like, are you expecting something from other people beneath everything? Are you expecting to get something back secretly, maybe also subconsciously? And just lean into that during that Mars square Sun. And then this is also leading us up to the T-square that is happening around the Taurus new moon, which is also going to coincide with Mars opposing Pluto. So this is happening between your 11th, 8th, and 5th house. And it can also really be a time where it transforms your love life around, or just like around intimacy and romance, and you might actually really be able to let go of some old baggage, like this tension that has come up with Mars square Sun, where you might be facing like, is it really worth to share my resources with this person? Maybe now you get like kind of a full closure moment that brings in a cathartic release through maybe crying, opening up your heart, or getting intimate with a person, and leads you to have like a new and better foundation of how you actually want to disperse these resources in a better way. Because, you know, if you're not saying what you want and need, Libra, other people can't read your mind and give you the things. And I think this is kind of also what Mars in Leo in your 11th house is also nudging you towards. Be bold and say the dreams out loud. It's okay to dream big. It's okay to dream big and wish things for yourself. I know you're oftentimes very focused on doing things for others. This is about first focusing on what you want for yourself. And like, it's okay. It's okay to say it. And then other people can give it to you actually, if you actually say it. But otherwise, people can't read minds. And then around May, we have Mars trining Venus, your ascendant ruler, a lovely time between the 11th and 7th house. This is really a time where love blooms in collaboration with other people, and it's really a sweet and supportive time, especially if you are a partnership. You might really be getting like pampered and spoiled by your special other. So it's really a good and lovely time, or even by your friendships and allies. So a really good time for your social connections and kind of being the star of them. And then around June, we have Mars square Uranus happening between your 11th and 8th house. This can be, again, kind of just sudden emotional outbursts and releases. Maybe some old wounds may crack open, but usually healing follows. And the wounds that do come crack open probably, again, have to do with the things that I have been already saying and iterating, which is often about just like you not really saying what you want and need to be completely honest. And so, yeah, you might be getting into some conflicts with other people's about what they are giving, not giving to you. And yeah, all of this can lead to much more greater emotional clarity. Because one thing that you especially need to realize, Libra, is that conflict is a gateway to deeper intimacy. But I know it is uncomfortable, but this is maybe exactly what we have to go through, or you have to go through, when Mars squares Uranus in your 11th and 8th house. Because overall, having good conflicts with other people can lead to so much more fulfilling relationships and actually get you the things you really want in life. Scorpio Suns and Scorpio Risings, welcome to Mars in Leo horoscope. Now, Mars in Leo is going to be traveling through your 10th house. And the 10th house has a lot to do with our career, our public image, and our achievements. Also about our vacation and kind of like a more purpose-driven career, what we really truly want to do in life. And my overall advice here is assert yourself in professional settings and seek the recognition for your efforts, because you absolutely deserve it. It's okay to take the front center stage when it comes to your work and career. You know, Scorpio Risings, it's always so interesting to me. I'm also Scorpio Rising, but the Sun rules your 10th house, which is like the most public place and house, but then by nature you are a more private, secretive sign. And Mars in Leo, especially Mars is your ascendant ruler, it's really kind of nudging you to face and also accept that it's okay to also step into the limelight sometimes and be the center stage, especially when it comes to your work and career. And then we have Mars trine Neptune, which is happening in your 10th and 6th house. So a lot of these transits are actually happening between your like more work, mundane, day-to-day job related houses. So this whole month and period is kind of really trying to revamp the way that you are working and being in the world and finding alignment in the day-to-day activities. And so Mars trine Neptune is really hitting this off with having purposeful moments in your career and having spiritual alignment that fuels your productivity on a day-to-day basis. And then we have the Sun square Mars square Sun, which is happening between your 10th and 7th house. Your angular houses are getting triggered, and this may lead to some sort of issues, maybe around control, that come to the surface between like your career and where you want to head, and between the people and your relationships that you have in your life. So the focus is very much on things that are kind of a bit outside of your control. If your partner is triggering you, make sure to breathe before reacting, because they might bring in more useful things that might be like, you might not realize how many useful things they're trying to like provide you, but you just might react in like this way of like, no, I have to self-preserve or something. And so just be aware of that, like breathe deeply before reacting, and then you can lie much better into how you want to focus this Martian Leo energy in finding your soul purpose. This is all building up to a T-square that is happening around the Taurus new moon, and also coinciding with Mars squaring Pluto. So a very tenseful T-square, especially because it's happening in your angular houses, your 10th, 7th, and 4th house. So this is a major point or turning point when it comes to your relationships. And you might be asking yourself the question of who stays and who goes, or what needs to transform. It does not have to be the end of a relationship, but it can just nudge you into asking yourself where I might have to burn bridges. At the same time, don't burn bridges too fast. I know Scorpios, sometimes you can just be like, done and over, and like, this bridge is burned, we're never talking to that person again. Maybe don't do that, which again, like breathe before doing things, like sleep over things before you make a final decision. You are a fixed sign, so sometimes you forget that relationships are malleable, and Uranus traveling through your 7th house the past like 7 years have constantly served as a reminder that relationships are malleable. Conflict, people changing their minds is not like set in stone. Things change all the time. Things always transform. Other people also transform. It's not just you who is changing. It's also other people who is changing. And Pluto has also been traveling through your 4th house, and will be traveling through your 4th house for a long time, which is really transforming your deep foundations beneath. And you have to have, especially you, the Scorpios, you have to have like a good foundation of feeling safety. And so this might really bring this like burning and turning point in where are you not feeling like that. Because if you don't fundamentally feel safe and okay, because you're a sign that often gets in survival mode, it's very hard to have nourishing relationships that are kind of really like good for your career and where you want to head. At the end of the day, you want to serve, with Mars traveling through your 10th house. Then in May, we have Mars trining Venus. This is happening between your 10th and 6th house, which is a great time for you to find daily pleasures and like grace in your career. It's really focusing on you to find that work-life balance, and especially seek the beauty in the mundane. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is again happening between your 10th and 7th house. Unexpected, surprising dynamics in love, although you have already been going through so many unexpected dynamics in love and relationships. And yeah, it's interesting because Uranus in the 7th has really been serving as this force of you probably feeling like you need more freedom in your relationships than you usually do. And this is happening at a very critical degree of like very late degrees between your 10th and 7th house. So yeah, it's like you really have to be able to feel like the relationships that you have are not getting in the way of you pursuing your career and your dreams and your goals and being here for a purpose and serving other people. Sagittarius Suns and Sagittarius Risings. This Mars in Leo is happening in your 9th house. And the 9th house has a big focus on philosophy, on travel, especially far distance travel, and on higher education, and also about like how the beliefs and the philosophies shape your worldview and kind of are the setting stone for how you live your life. And my overall advice here for you is to expand your horizons through learning and exploration and embrace new experiences. Something I most definitely don't have to tell you, dear Sagittarius, is twice. This is very like true to your own nature. So this is really a wonderful transit and time for you. And we are starting this off by Mars trining Neptune, which is happening between your 9th and 5th house. So a big energy pull towards adventure and creativity and spirituality. You need to feel like your like creative drives are able for you. Let me rephrase that. Your creative works and the way that you express yourself creatively have to kind of align with your spiritual beliefs. You really want your beliefs to shine through your art and your passions. And then we have the Sun squaring Mars squaring the Sun, which is happening between your 9th and 6th house, which can bring a bit of a like irritation in your routine and health matters. So don't rush. This is the biggest advice that I can give you during that time. You might be like super fueled with that Mars trine Neptune between like, oh yes, I want to express my beliefs. I want to do this amazing art. I just want to create. But yeah, if you are not aligning yourself truthfully and honestly and just kind of like rushing, you might get in trouble between your like health, especially if you're so inspired that you are completely ignoring your basic human needs, which sometimes can happen. Okay, you're a Sagittarius, so you are ruled by a centaur, which is half human, half animal. Sometimes you forget that you're human, that you have basic human needs. And sometimes when you get on these like spiritual quests and adventures, you forget to like, oh, I have to feed myself, I have to sleep enough. And this can then often lead to interfering with your health. So don't rush, okay? And don't ignore to also take care of your health. Otherwise, it can easily overturn matters and you might get unexpectedly sick, and we don't want that. All of this is leading up to a T-square, which is happening around the Taurus new moon, which is also coinciding with Mars opposing Pluto. This is happening between your 9th, 6th, and 3rd houses, and if or not already happening before, this is the big wake-up call around how you are managing your energy levels and your habits and your day-to-day life. Again, it's just riffing off of what I've already said. Focus on also taking care of yourself and finding pleasure in the routines, because then you will be much able to better creatively express yourself, and we don't want your health to suffer, okay? And then later in May, we have Mars trining Venus happening between your 9th and 5th house. Amazing and lovely time for you to gain romantic inspiration and have more playful joy, especially when it comes to your romantic relationships. Maybe you go out on new dating adventures and finding people and like really hanging out with people that align with your spiritual beliefs and views, and just general reminder for you personal to follow what lights you up. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus, and this is happening between your 9th and 6th house again. These are sudden shifts in your like schedule, maybe some job changes, so it's really a good time to stay adaptable, which you can. You're a mutable sign, you totally can stay adaptable. This is happening at a critical degree, so once again, just I think overall this period is just, it's heading towards a direction for you where you are really finding this new ground of creatively expressing yourself and like channeling your beliefs and spirituality and worldview. Might also actually be a good time where you are like traveling far and abroad and also finding inspiration there, or lining up a new higher education. Maybe you find a new art form you want to study or something you want to invest your time in, but just again, not at the expense of your health, okay? Don't ignore your health, otherwise it can easily backfire, and just focus on doing your daily routines that are important and are going to be supportive of your health. Capricorn Suns and Capricorn Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. Now, Mars and Leo will be traveling through your 8th house. The 8th house has to do with our shared resources or just generally resources from other people. So what other people kind of bring into our lives can also be a place of karmic entanglements, a place of intimacy, and also a place of transformation. It is a more difficult place, and my overall advice here for you Capricorns is to focus on deepening emotional connections you already have and maybe address financial matters with courage, especially when it comes to other people's money. But it could also be with taxes or maybe what other people owe you financially. Be brave and step in and ask for what belongs to you. The 8th house also reveals a lot of our deep inner fears or things we might not be super comfortable. It's a place that is an aversion to the ascendant. And for you, dear Capricorns, the 8th house Leo, or just like the sun ruling your 8th house, always just poses this question of, where are you kind of afraid of stepping and being bold, especially when it comes to asking for things of other people? You are the sign that is so afraid of asking for help. But Mars in Leo is really going to remind you that it's okay to ask for help, because this is how we build deep emotional connections. And it's really this reminder, you don't have to go through life alone. You don't have to carry all the burdens on your soul shoulders. It's okay to ask help and get help, okay? Get resources from other people. We are starting this off by Mars trining Neptune. This is happening between your 8th and 4th house. This is serving as a deep healing in the emotional realm, especially when it comes to matters relating to family. Maybe your deep inner foundation is changing. You're growing more compassionate to how you grew up and how you were raised, where you are kind of coming from. It might be a good time to mend familial relationships, especially when it comes to 8th house matters. If you have things in your family, maybe there is a mortgage or just taxes or some debt that is still owed, maybe unclear things when it comes to how are things gonna be split up between people. So you really want to make sure all of this is kind of taken care of and that money is distributed properly, that nobody is left out. This is actually a very good time to take care of these things. And then one day later, we have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 8th and 5th house. And this is bringing in a tension between being responsible versus being playful. And I know, dear Capricorns, you tend to sometimes be workaholics. It might be a really good time to lean a bit back and just be okay with not having to take on full responsibility and lean into your playful side. It actually might come from other people. Other people might be nudging you to be more playful, go out on a walk, explore a new dating spot, okay? Lean into getting help from other people and some emotional release. You might not even realize how much you have been needed to do that. All of this is also leading up to the T-square that is happening around the Taurus new moon, which is also coinciding with Mars opposing Pluto, happening between your 8th, 5th, and 2nd house, which is leading to a breakthrough moment in your creativity, love, maybe also around children, could also be your own inner child. Maybe you have really been neglecting your own inner child for a while, and again, just really being responsible, focusing on work, hustle. Now is the time to have breakthrough moments and do something creative again, okay? like let go of perfectionism, focus on like ventures, maybe it's time to just go to a sauna again and do something that eases your mind and eases your body and kind of lets you just really feel like the weight is lifted off your shoulder, the burden is lifted off your shoulder. And then in May, we have Mars trining Venus. This is happening between your 8th and 4th house. And this is really a time to mend things that pertain to home comforts around like family. Find beauty in your roots. If you've had a really hard time accepting where you've came from, maybe the country you're from, or maybe just your upbringing, you've been really struggling with your upbringing, this could really bring some sort of closure in like finding beauty and peace and forgiveness in all of that. Maybe you have a mending moment with certain family members, and so I really like that for you. Then around June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is happening between your 8th and 5th house again. Time to take creative risks, time to take romantic risks, be surprised by other people, maybe go on dates with wild cards, people you wouldn't necessarily go on dates with, and also kind of be surprised at your own self-expression and how when you like express yourself more and stand up for what you want and need from other people, like how easily other people actually can also give it to you. So I really love how this month is ending for you, dear Capricorns, because I think this overall transit is really kind of almost forcing you to go into your shadow of needing to ask for help and getting so much back once you do. Aquarius Suns, Aquarius Risings, welcome to your Mars and Leo horoscope. Mars and Leo will be traveling through your 7th house, the house of one-on-one close relationships, partnerships, can be both personal and professional, but just generally there's more one-on-one intimate relationships, which can be romantically involved, but can also be relationships such as the relationship with your therapist as well. Just relationships that are more intimate than others. My overall advice for you is to collaborate assertively and seek balance in relationships, and so that you can avoid power struggles, essentially. And we are starting this off with Mars trining Neptune. This is happening between your 7th and 3rd house. So this is really a time that is inspired by like your day-to-day dialogue you have with a partner, or just like these people that are more close and intimate with you, because your relationships might actually deepen when you realize I actually have things in common with people around me. Sometimes you also tend to be a sign that can be a bit more private, but you're just discovering, especially with like Neptune and then also Saturn and a lot of planets moving through Aries, which is ruling your 3rd house, that once you actually do connect with your local environment, so many beautiful and amazing things can happen. And it's really a time where you're not meant to go and do these things alone, dear Aquarius. I know you can sometimes feel a bit like an alien and like you're not really fitting in, but this is really a time where I think you might really find those people that fully align with you. But first, you fully have to align with yourself. And this is then going off of the next day. We have a Sun square Mars, or Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 7th and 4th house with your angular houses, so it is extra potent. And this might bring up conflict around like family, maybe your foundation, maybe a lot of triggers, ego defensiveness. It might not come from you. It might come from family members. It might come from close one-on-one relationships. It's not necessarily that you are doing so much. It just, you have to be careful on what other people are kind of bringing in, and that you might be more sensitive and prone to being triggered during that time. Maybe a partner brings up like your foundation, where you came from, and you are not fully okay yet, or haven't digested your childhood yet, or your roots and your upbringing. And this might like bring in a really painful moment, or like inner tension and conflict of feeling like you kind of need to like prove yourself unnecessarily, all of that. So just be careful of that. All of that is leading up to a T-square that is happening around the Taurus new moon, which is coinciding with Mars opposing Pluto, also happening in your angular houses 7th, 4th, and 1st house. So fueling that inner trigger and pressure point even more, because Pluto is in your 1st house. So it's really about like you transforming yourself first and foremost, and just getting these pressure from family and closed ones. It might really be a time where you actually like want to go and hide from the world, to be completely honest. But we need these triggers, okay? We need these triggers from other people, because otherwise we don't really know how to change. Other people's are kind of like our mirror, okay? And Mars in Leo traveling through yourself will really serve as this mirror, and especially this mirror where are you not being bold and assertive? Okay, maybe seeing other people be bold and assertive will trigger yourself, or you are not doing that. And so especially around the new moon, it might be this time where other people are very much triggering to you, or maybe family members, and you just kind of like want to go back. But it will be really useful for you to undergo this important transformational and transitional I can't talk anymore moment to step into a new version of yourself, because Pluto in your 1st house is slowly but surely transforming and flipping your whole identity upside down. Then in May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening between your 7th and 3rd house. Again, leading to having probably a lot of harmony in conversations, and a lot of like luck or mending in your romantic relationships. Probably also feeling really supported by your local community, or like you really belong to your nearby environment. Maybe explore your nearby environment if you have just moved, or you have been living in a place for a long time and you have not explored your local environment. This might be a really good time, especially with a partner or a potential future partner if you're dating, to really explore your local environments, like the restaurants, the cafes, the bars, everything that is nearby to you. And you might get into some unexpected surprises in like where this leads you, and really deepen the relationships in your life. And then in June, we have Mars square Uranus. This is happening between your 7th and 4th house. Once again, just triggering this disruptive home family changes, and may also lead to emotional liberation. Again, it's always this breakthrough moment, which can like start with a crisis, but then it leads to a breakthrough, and we need this crisis to serve as a turning point in our lives. And again, coming from other people. The transformative part comes from you, but the triggers and everything else is kind of really coming from other people, your local nearby environment. So yeah, be sure to have boundaries, dear Aquarius, during that time. And if you need to do some inner work, make sure to distance yourself and focus on that. Might also really actually be a good time for like therapy, and just having someone more neutral help you maybe look at certain situations in a way that you are not able to access it, because sometimes we can just be blind to our own like family situations and patterns we repeat or keep running into when it comes to our partnerships. So maybe also a good time to just have a neutral person and therapist look at where tension is coming from other people in your life, and work through that in a more nuanced, supportive way for you. Pisces Suns and Pisces Risings. Here is your Mars in Leo horoscope. And now Mars in Leo will be traveling through your 6th house. The 6th house, it has its focus on work, on health, also disease. They are kind of coins from the same side, and also your daily routines. So my overall advice here for you is to take proactive steps towards wellness and productivity and to maintain a balanced approach, because ultimately if you do this, this will influence your health in a positive way. And if you don't do this, this can negatively impact your health and other matters. Especially you're a sign that can kind of be a bit all over the place, especially when it comes to your day-to-day lives and your daily routines. Mars in Leo is really nudging you to be proactive, to actually set up a more structured routine. Leo is a fixed sign at the end of the day. And we are starting this off by Mars trining Neptune. This is happening between your 6th and your 2nd house. So it is really asking you to act on the things that improve your health and finances. And actually how both of these things are kind of very interlinked, because when you are feeling healthy, when you are feeling abundant, when you are having these structures, day-to-day activities and lives, this can significantly improve how you can expand yourself to making new, to find new solutions or avenues on how you can make money, and be much more open and receptive in how you can gain more financial wealth and success. So it's really take small steps every day, and these small steps will lead you to much better soulful alignment, so you can actually work and make money from things you love doing. It is possible. It just needs structure, okay? And then one day later, we have Mars squaring the Sun. This is happening between your 6th and 3rd house. So this can kind of bring up stressors in how you are communicating with other people. Maybe there's some conflicts within your siblings. The 3rd and the 6th house are interesting because they both kind of have to do with our day-to-day routines. But the 6th house has more to do with our strenuous routines, so things we have to do. If there's a house that feels like washing the dishes, it's the 6th house. It's things we simply have to do every day to maintain a good life. The 3rd house is kind of the same, but it's much more joyous. It's things we love doing, not things we have to do, but things we love doing that kind of just enrich our lives. So the sleep ritual you do before sleeping, you don't have to do this. You can just kind of go straight to bed, but maybe lighting up a candle and putting on some nice music really improves your life and makes your mental health much better. So there is this stress or tension that is going on between both of these houses. So just be mindful of how you are setting up your daily routines and where you can also bring in things that you like doing so it doesn't get all over the place. And just be mindful of what you say to other people and what you communicate, because it's a very easy time to get into misunderstandings and miscommunication. This is all leading us up to the T-square, which is happening around a Taurus new moon, which is coinciding with Mars opposing Pluto. This is happening between your 6th, 3rd, and 12th house. So a time that can be very much easily mentally overstimulating, leading you to have maybe mental breakdowns, breakthroughs. It's always on the verge. It's a thin line. But it's definitely a time where you can be prone to be overwhelmed. So it's really time to rethink your voice and where you can find joy in the mundane. Essentially this: wake up, focus on getting the things done that you need to get done, focus on more structure and routine, then focus on bringing in the things that create joy, again, your sleep ritual or your morning ritual or your daily ritual that you just need, maybe going outside and walking in nature, smelling the lilacs. This is what I do every day right now. Because this will lead to a lot less overwhelm. Otherwise, you can easily get lost in the sauce, and I don't want that for you. Then in May, we have Mars trine Venus. This is happening between your 6th and 2nd house. Once again, a great time to find more sensual joy in your daily mundane rituals and lives and the things you're doing, and just experiencing pleasure through being present and realizing how all of that can really influence how you make money and bring in money and actually lead you to have a much more bigger abundance in your own resources. Like, you will be surprised, dear Pisces, in how much better you can align yourself with getting the right job opportunities, with expanding your financial income by simply just bringing in more structure and routine and finding pleasure in the mundaneness. I know this is hard for you, but spirituality is found in the mundane. It's found in the day-to-day tasks that are just washing the dishes. Like, maybe find God in washing the dishes. Because something you need to realize is that this is your life. Your life is happening right now. You will always have to be washing the dishes. Spirituality isn't happening later. It's happening now. Find it in the mundane. Okay? Because it's not going to happen later once you do this and this and this. No, it's happening right now. Find spirituality in the now. And then in June, to close this off, we have Sun squaring Uranus. This is happening between your 6th and 3rd house. So again, bringing up, maybe some tension between how you're communicating. You might come off in the wrong way. Definitely a time where you can expect more mental restlessness in your day-to-day lives. Just all of this, it will just impact your day-to-day lives and your rituals you're doing so much, dear Pisces. So focus on the things that I've been saying all of this time throughout this horoscope. Focus on the structure, on doing the things you need to do first. Don't slack off, do them first, and then focus on bringing in the more fun rituals that also improve your living, because it will feel so much better overall, and it will severely decrease the risk of mental restlessness and mental tension. So if you've listened through your horoscope, let me know what you think. Make sure to like this video if you have found it useful. Make sure to share it with someone if they might find it useful. It helps out more than you know. You can help out so much by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and it means the world. It fills my heart, seriously. So, as you already heard me talk, these next 2 months are fierce. They are fertile with energy to break through of what's holding us back and step into the life we actually want to live. So be bold, be conscious, and most of all, be you. So again, if this resonates, like and subscribe, stay aligned with the stars, and drop a comment with your sign and what you're navigating right now. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!